Alright my friends, how you all doing? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to a fresh episode of our community zoo, Jamii Conservation Park. We are in for a jam-packed episode once again, my friends, I can promise you that. I've got lots of things I want to cover at the beginning. We've got the polls to reveal. I've got a few little things I need to talk about as well where other stuff is concerned on the channel, and I want to talk to you about last episode and the changes that have been made to the zoo as a result. So first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, last episode is linked above right now. Episode 5.5 was a little bit different. We basically talked about all the zoo management, all the zoo needs and that sort of stuff. It was really different. Also, my friends, you will see linked above episode 5, which is basically the episode we're going to take all the comments and feedback from to put into today's episode. I've decided I'm going to do those zoo management episodes every 5 episodes, so the next one you can expect will be an episode 10.5, and yeah, that will be there for you, my friends, so we can keep going over all of the little behind the scenes things that we don't get to cover in these episodes, because you guys really brought forward some really important things, you know, that we really needed to look at, some really good points, and I have gone and implemented them. What I'm going to say as well is from those sort of like 5.5, 10.5 episodes, I will implement the changes before I come in to the episode to make it easier to save a little bit of time. So the things that were brought up, we can cover 2 here, is trading hours have changed. It's now 8 till 10. Everybody thought that the 5 a.m. to 11 was just completely unrealistic. Totally agree. And someone brought up that 8 a.m. would be pretty acceptable. Certain members would be allowed in early, and some zoos do late night. So we've changed the trading hours to that, and believe it or not, that will affect funds because obviously the zoo is open less hours now. Talking of funds, everybody suggested that we put the zoo price up because guests were saying it was a little low. So it's now 15 for adults, 12 for children. It was originally 12 for adults, 9 for children, so it is quite a bit of a leap, but it seems to have balanced things out. We've added perks on the staff rooms, ladies and gents. I didn't know if you knew you could do this, but basically on the staff rooms you can add perks. If I was to find this staff room, for instance, this staff room has the learning resources perk, and this one over here has the happiness perk, I believe it is, the staff healthcare perk. So basically they're things that will cost the zoo money, but they will improve staff morale, they will help them train quicker, this sort of stuff, and basically they were the perks that people had asked to be put on the staff rooms. Next up is that of food quality for the animals. Everybody voted that we should go up to grade 2, so it isn't the maximum grade, ladies and gents. You can see there is one more grade, but everyone said we're still a pretty small establishment, we want to keep an eye on that money. Even though we've got lots in the bank, we don't want to be spending beyond our means, and so all the animals are now getting grade 2 food, so their diet is going to be a lot better, and the welfare of the animals is the most important thing, most people said. And the last thing to cover, so we can get in today's episode, is that of the staff and the training and the way this is going to work. Now, the staff are going to work on a tier system from now on. I believe it was John McLaughlin left me the tier levels, but I don't have them in front of me written down because I'm completely unprepared. But yeah, we're basically going to have like master, we're going to have like manager, and so on, junior, apprentice, that sort of stuff. Each star is going to represent something, but the only people that can reach 5 stars are the original members that we employed all the way back in episode 1. You will see that the Macassars are obviously already there. Trish is working her way up. Alison is working her way up. So is Herschel. So are these 3 vendors, and so is Melissa. They're the only ones that are allowed to get to 5 star, and then as far as the rest of them are concerned, you can decide what level you think they deserve to get to. Also, work zones were brought up. People said we don't need work zones yet, so that is done and dusted. So they're the only changes I've made, ladies and gents, between episodes. Hope you don't mind me doing that. It just saves a little bit of time, even though I've had to explain it all. But yeah, let's move on with today's episode now, and we've got 2 polls to reveal and the results from them. Now, I'm actually going to reveal the poll result for the squares dilemma first because it could play into today's episode. Now, I asked you last time around whether or not we should stick with the 5x5 squares or change them to 5x10 rectangles, and 96% of you have said to change them to rectangles. So a massive slide on that. So I have already gone in and done it, ladies and gents. I'm basically weren't going to hang about. You're going to see they're all done. all of them have been changed to rectangles, and I've tried to do it as evenly as possible, so we have one going this way, one going this way, and I've tried to sort of scatter it around. So they are all done, ladies and gents, and yeah, it's really interesting the way that's added a completely new dynamic to the build already. And then should we move forward 10 years, you're going to see the result of that poll on your screen now. 65% of the vote have said to yes to move forward 10 years, and so we will be unlocking a brand new square moving forward, and yeah, we can go through all of the comments while we move forward. But as far as the square choice is concerned, it's actually going to be a rectangle this time around. A lot of people were voting for 2 squares in case that happens, which I absolutely love because you made life a lot easier. We had 2 votes for 6, 2 for 7, 4 for 8 and 9, and then we had 1 vote for square 10. So we are going to be, I've already done it to save some time, but we've actually unlocked this rectangle here, ladies and gentlemen, and this is the space we essentially could be working in today's episode. So yeah, I guess we should really just crack on, get into it, and cover your feedback and your comments. So here we go, ladies and gents. You can see it's absolutely flying through on screen now. We have got 10 years to get through, so we need to get the year 46. I believe it was the 20th of July when I pressed play. I really need to start taking more note of that. But yeah, my friends, we're going to start the feedback and comments right now. We're actually going to start with one I'm potentially going to put to a poll, and it comes in from Matthew Roth, and he says, "Hey Fandan, love the series. Maybe instead of 10 years each square, you could change it up a little. Maybe 5 years for small squares, 10 years for medium, and maybe something like 10 to 20 for the giant square. That way it restricts money if you go small, but if you can get through the park, a little easier." And I actually really like this suggestion, and it's one of the reasons why I'm bringing it to your attention. Now, what they're essentially saying is that when you vote for a square, if you vote for one of these to be unlocked, we would only go forward 5 years. If you vote for one of these, we'd go forward 10, but then if we unlocked one of these, we could potentially go forward a bit more. I would probably say 15, keep it with the going up 5 years. So yeah, I quite like that suggestion. So what I am going to do is, as I always do, because I'm all about evolving the series, is offer this up to a poll, my friends. Should we keep it as it is, skipping forward 10 years and unlocking any square, or should we basically change the amount of time that we skip for the size of the square? Obviously, you won't know how far we're going to skip until the episode, because you won't know how many people chose what square, and I think that adds an interesting dynamic to it as well. So please do, my friends, vote on the poll. Next up, my friends, we're now going to get into the comments and the feedback. There's a lot to get through. I'm glad that a lot of them are a bit shorter this week, but there are lots and lots of comments. The first one comes in from Chewy Gaming. They've said, "I think you should build an outdoor park for the Komodo Dragon. Do I deserve to be part of the conservation club? I think you should move forward 10 years, open up squares 6 and 7 or 8 and 9 if you're going to go with rectangle for small squares." The Komodo Dragon, I'm just going to throw it out there now, it's probably going to be a big part of today's episode. So many people have commented on this. So yeah, it's a really good suggestion. As for the conservation club, I'm actually going to talk about that when we get to the build section, because lots has been brought up about people's names, how we're going to use them in the series. So yeah, I will get to that, my friend. Sis Gaming is up next, and they've said, "I vote for yes for 10 years into the future. I think that something prehistoric could educate guests about evolution. I vote for square 8 as it opens up into bigger squares. I think that you could put a new conservation club stall next to the new building, but behind the stall you could make a small outside area for the Komodo Dragon. You could also decorate the inside of the lizard building, decorate maybe with a skeleton structure or of a reptile." Really like that suggestion. I believe you might have said it before, but someone's really on the prehistoric education for the guests, so I really feel like that's something I need to get done. I'm definitely going to add that to the list because it seems really popular. They did leave me a little suggestion about a zoo that's got multiple entrances. I did take a look. Thank you for that suggestion. Every little one of those suggestions really helps, because it helps me get educated, so thanks for that. Primal Gamer is up next. They said, "I voted yes, and I say square 6 or 7. If it becomes a rectangle, you could make it into a nice picnic area or a gift shop that could have been an old bit of the reptile house that used to house snakes, so it could be very reptile themed inside. Also, I think the little space outside the building should be a Komodo Dragon outdoor." That's been really popular, the outdoor for the Komodos. I'm really not surprised after what we covered in last episode. Anton Van Dyke has sent in a comment saying, "1, Jamii Conservation Park has been growing for a long and with dynamic weather, not all animals are suited to live outdoors. If they would ever buy capuchin monkeys or lemurs, they must consider making a small ape house, even though lemurs aren't apes. I know the apes are close together and are in a warm environment. Totally agree. I'm not sure we're going to get round to doing apes. I'm going to be honest with you. In today's episode, we're not going to have the space to do it, but they are on the waiting list. That is for sure. We're going to really get into a lot of stuff today. Some big developments could definitely happen in today's episode. 2 amazing episode. Love the Nile monitor exhibit. It would be cool to make the back of the Death Adder exhibit a 2D facade and make a fake door in it. It would make the exhibit more realistic. The Komodo should get an outdoor part. I really like that idea about the door. I'm definitely going to add that to the list. That's really fascinating. And as for the Conservation Club, I think renaming buildings to sponsors could be a cool way to thank subscribers in combination with a school educational centre. Now, this is what I was saying about the Conservation Wall, and it's one of the reasons why I haven't completed it, is because people think that some of the buildings should now be named after you guys. And I tend to agree, because these sorts of buildings, especially if they're listed, this is the sort of thing that would happen. So I really like that idea, and we're gonna get into a lot when we get to the live section of today's episode. There's stuff I want to talk to you guys about, but at the moment I just kind of want to churn through the comments because we have a lot to cover. But it's really fascinating that naming buildings as well as having the Conservation Club. Jer the Nater has got in contact. He said, I think the expansion is looking great. The blank space should maybe be an outdoor area, since those lizards require some basking ground. The area could receive some theming to their homeland too. As far as the push for a new entrance, I think that is definitely something that should be looked at down the line. But I think the old entrance should stay, as it would be a good legacy entrance or type of thing you often see with zoos and places where they have merged with separate businesses and will sell tickets for, say, the zoo plus botanical garden, etc. So there's the reptile centre and the zoo expansion, and as the zoo expands, another larger entrance can accommodate so people wanting to head towards that specific wing of the park have a direct path. Yeah, you're basically touching on that multiple entrance thing again. It seems very popular with people, and I do think it is an avenue we're definitely gonna go down. Nightclub's got in contact, said, once again, great work, Dan. Here's what I recommend to do next. 1, the free area should be big enough to hold one shop in the northern corner, glass construction. See my comment from last episode. For the Komodo couple, the Indonesian ambassador mentioned a breeding project in his Daily Dodo interview. I definitely need to make a Daily Dodo poster. I really do, because you mention it all the time and I love it. 2, the peafowl could use some female company. Peacocks usually have a complete harem around, but 2 should do the trick. Also, if we don't need it, he should get 1 or 2 enrichment items, simply turning on the welfare. Oh, I don't need to cover this. Basically, me and Nightclub have spoken about this already. I'd already done all the peafowl stuff, and I covered it last episode as well. 3, maybe you can fill the tops of the tunnel pieces with soil and plants in sunflower pots, flowers on the top. Maybe even hanging down. Bees visitors would love the effect. Don't forget the empty room at the big reptile house. That is definitely on the list for today's episode. And 5, an idea for the entrance. When the park grows, another bigger and more effectual entrance can be built, but it should be a few distances away from the reptile section. In this way, people could decide to just visit and pay the reptile section or a whole conservation park. Similar system is used at the Tropic Aquarium at Hagenbeck, Hamburg, and would fit the original story of Jamii. I actually had a look at that. It's really fascinating the way they've done it as well, and I really thank you for sending that in. He basically goes on to say that where the checkpoint could be in the far end of Croc Corner, which is potentially something we could look at in today's episode. But thanks for your comment, Nightclub. And I'm sorry if I'm skimming the comments, but they are on the screen for you to read anyway. It's just I've got a lot to get through. Louis has got in touch. He said, hi Dan, I like to see an outdoor enclosure for the Komodo dragons in the open space, but not with the high glass, but with hip level fence and electric wire leaning into the enclosure. This would make the animals feel like he is really outside, not in a cage or an open roof. I voted no on the should we move forward 10 years poll because I feel like everything needs to be cleaned up first. Just an episode which contains multiple little things from your list. This way, the starting area would be finished off and you would never have to think about little tasks in the starting area, and you can freely move on to expand the park. Truly love the series. I really like the Nile monitor enclosure. Can't wait for this park to expand. Yeah, I really appreciate that. There are millions and millions and millions of little jobs that need doing, and I am really going to try to tackle them in today's episode. Sander Neelan's got in touch. He said, I'm in doubt this time, but after some thinking I voted no for moving forward. Believe the episode segment is complete now, and the next episode could be used to fix the smallest things in the park, all the stuff that takes a lot of time, but those are the details that make it realistic. Totally agree. I think the Komodo Dragons would benefit from an outdoor area, so I would implement it and get a female companion, otherwise there is no breeding program. As I see the comment from Louis coming in, we agree on cleaning the park up, and after that moving forward, don't forget the empty room. That's 2 people that have mentioned that room. I will not forget it, I promise you. The inside of the new building could use some planting, make it look like an indoor jungle. I think for the size of the park, it has enough shops. I would add a new shop when we add the next non-reptile animals. I still think the pairing up of the squares is a good idea, and I hope it will survive the voting. It did, my friend, and thanks for the elephant grass trick. Hadn't seen it yet, and you are more than welcome. It was not me that come up with it was Rudy, but it's a fantastic trick, and it really helps. Zach Prince has got in touch. I believe a few episodes ago someone commented that the original reptile building could be listed, which I'm guessing is similar to historic status in the US. It is, my friend. What you could do when the zoo grows big enough is to convert the original reptile building into a new entrance. The reptiles inside could be moved into a bigger and better habitats later on, and the original interior could be converted into some sort of museum with the history of the park. Now, I'm just going to throw this out there. That fills me with anxiety. The thought of destroying it after doing all this work. But this is your series, and if lots of people like that idea, it is something I would consider. But wow, that would be big work to do that, my friend. The extra bit of grass outside the newest reptile house should definitely go to the Komodo Dragons. Berezi's comment did specify a pair of Komodo Dragons, so I think sticking to that would be an appropriate use of space. Totally agree. Plus, the one in the zoo is a boy, not a girl. Yeah, I realised I got that wrong last episode, didn't I? In regards to your inquiry, this is about a zoo. He basically gave me the example of Bronx Zoo that actually has 4 entrance points, which is phenomenal, unbelievable. I didn't know that. I had a look at it. It's fascinating. There's I think there's 3 on corners and there's 1 on a bridge, and it's unbelievable. So yeah, the sky's the limit, really, where that's concerned. I'm enjoying watching Jamii continue to grow and expand. I'm excited to see where it goes. Keep up the fun and engaging content. You are more than welcome. Veganitis has got in touch. The garden came out stunning. Oh my God, I'm in love. My only issue is that wouldn't the peacock... poor Mr. Peabody needs some friends, peck at the insects in the little insect house. He would, but it's kind of an implied exhibit. Because of the way we've done it, he could walk all over the zoo, essentially, so he wouldn't just be in that one space. So I'm sure he would probably ignore it more than he would peck at it. Also, I think we should move forward 10 years, unlock rectangle 9, where we can fit a gift shop for the zoo. I also think we should go with the outdoor space for the Komodo Dragons so that we can have a female as well. Also noticed in many zoos that they have cameras in the exhibits of the animals where they view and study animal behaviour without getting too invasive. That's really it's a really cool idea, actually. In the future, I think we should also add a little farm out back to grow fresh produce for the herbivores with the composting area. There should also be a guest centre with wheelchairs for disabled guests to make it ADA compliant. Yeah, I really do. That's something I've been thinking about as well recently. I just don't think we've got space right now, which is a real issue. Also, just making sure that you remember putting the fire extinguishers, hydrants, smoke detectors. I think we spoke about this, veganitis, that I've already done most of it. Also moving on, I hope you'll include more natural landscapes such as hills, divots and ponds. Natural landscape vary extensively. Real zoos are never flat, so experiment with slopes and terrain variants. Great video as always, and I personally like the lengthier videos with cuts in between showing the progress you make. That point you make about the terrain levels is something that I am very conscious of. I understand that, like, this isn't the Netherlands, basically. It's not completely flat. So I am very conscious of it. It is in the back of my mind to make sure that we sort that out. And I will be sure to do that later on. What I'd thought of right now as it starts to snow and all the animals are going to get freezing cold is basically that this plot of land had been flattened because of the amount of buildings that were put on it. And so that was my thinking at this stage in the build. So I kind of hope you understand that, but it is in the back of my mind to make sure that we use more variants where terrain is concerned. John McLaughlin has got in touch. Excellent work again, Dan. I voted no moving forward 10 years. I think there's enough work on currently without expanding. The outdoor Komodo exhibit seems to be the way to get the second one. Let's name him Gojira and start that breeding program with the Indonesian government, which is a storyline I really like. I do as well. The added keeper for the Komodos should be highly trained up, and you can add to the story that he is a professor in herpetology from the University of Florida, as they have one of the best zoology departments in the US. He came to the park solely to oversee and study with the Komodos. So that is definitely something that will be added to the list. We will hire a member of staff for the Komodos. Next, we've got Silver Fishy. Great video, like always. Now I'm on it, exhibit blew me away. Obviously, yes, we're going forward another 10 years, and I'll go for square 9. I think the square 9, we can take another break from animals, maybe start some sort of path leading to the other end of the crocodiles, eventually getting to the point where we can fit a small restaurant in. Anyways, great video. Can't wait for the next one. A lot of people are leaning towards two things I've noticed: a new restaurant and the Komodos so far. Belanzine has got in touch. The reptile house looks amazing. Narmont Air exhibit is really inspiring. Not sure the zoo really needs a bigger entrance just yet, but once it does, I think a secondary entrance would be a better option than replacing this one. Yeah, it seems to be the popular vote, that. I voted no on moving this time. Forward by 10 years, because we're getting to the point where we've naturally progressed 10 years pretty soon. I think it'd be cool to get the current park all detailed up and maybe open up 2 squares once in an episode, even if that's not what ends up happening. I thought it was something interesting to bring to people's attention. Yeah, it really was. I've seen some people support for the Komodo Dragon outdoor exhibit in the comments, and I'd like to add my vote to building that, and that's definitely going to happen today. Wyatt Andrews: hey Dan, great stuff as always. I recommend creating covers for the donation boxes, since the ones we get in the game don't look like any I've seen. Would definitely help maximize realism. Do you know what? I totally agree. They're a thing I hate. Like, they honestly, they fill me with dread. They're disgusting. When I do Sandbox zoos, when I don't have to worry about money, I don't put them in because I really don't like them. It's the bit at the top that spins. It's so hard to disguise. Scrolls. I just started watching this series today, binged all the episodes, excited to finally participate. I was going to suggest a new entrance as well, but then I saw someone suggest it already. I vote to move forward, and I'd pick square 8. I also think you should give the Komodo an outdoor space. Maybe then, yeah, it can fit 2 of them. Forgot one suggestion. If you make a dedicated education building, you could have another contributor wall or something like that in the lobby. I think an education building is definitely going to be something we do in the future. It's on the list of things to do that you guys have said to me, because it's just a popular choice. So many people have said that we should have an education building, and you know, I do agree, totally agree. It's just space is at a premium at the moment, and yeah, it's just something we've kind of got to a point where a lot of these smaller squares have, you know, come up, and we have no choice but to move into them. And the last comment this week comes from Dennis Krensheen. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I have an idea from where the guests are spawning. You could build a mini metro station entrance exit like the one from London Underground. Just an idea, and it's an idea I quite like, actually. I've recoloured them grey because someone told me you could change the colour of them, and I didn't know that. So they're a bit more disguised. But yeah, one of these we could essentially turn into like a London Underground station type thing, which, yeah, I like that. I don't know if I'll do that today. I might try and experiment with it, but yeah, it's something that I definitely like. So yeah, that's that, ladies and gents. We're done with the comments, with the magical trick of editing. We'll be back soon when the 10 years is up. And so here we are, ladies and gents. We are back on the 20th of July, year 46. Obviously, we're not treating it like it's 46 years, but yeah, we're back. And I'm now going to talk to you about what we're doing in today's episode. Now, the 2 big things to take away, actually there's 3 big things to take away from today's episode, is that the outdoor Komodo, a new shop, and all the little details to be done. I will just like to add, we have hit over $1 million in profit. which is phenomenal. And I've always said to myself that I was going to present you guys with a very, very special option the minute we reached 1 million. I'm going to save it for the end when we come to doing the polls and the usual votes and all the rest of it. But I always said that when we hit our first million, I said it to myself that when we hit our first million, I would present you guys with a special option to see what you could come up with. So yeah, stay peeled to the end of today's episode to find out exactly what that is. So yeah, we've got so much money. We really could just do whatever we wanted. We don't really need to worry right now. But the big thing we're going to do is the outdoor Komodo exhibit. Definitely. We're obviously going to have to build a door in here. We're going to have to put a staff door in as well. I think we'll just basically just try to fill up all of this space here, because obviously we need to create so much space for these animals. It's ridiculous how much space they actually require. But yeah, we're going to build a big outdoor area for them. I think what we're going to do over here is a shop. I think we're going to place the shop here, and then we're going to open all this up. I'm going to do a really sort of like wide open pathed area. We're going to have nice seating, do a bit of planting here, maybe a bit of planting here, and then we can join the path up. We can take this path here, down here, we can join this path. So we'll have, so basically it'll be like a complete loop, the zoo, which is something that really needs to happen because there are no dead ends in places like this. So yeah, we can get all that joined up. I think that would be really interesting. And then obviously all those little bits and bobs that people have been asking for, you know, signposts, you know, finishing all the details off on these shops, finishing the details off on the reptile house, completing this room is definitely on the top of my list. You know, we need to do something with this because it's just been sitting here dormant doing absolutely nothing. We need to cover all of the bins that someone asked. I've got a list of stuff here basically that I'm going to try and do. A map has been asked for, a logo's been asked for. Whether or not I do them, I'll have to wait and see, because they are a lot of work and I might do them off cam. Obviously, I'm going to talk about the conservation club when we get to the build section. But yeah, I've got a lot of work on my hands basically. Lots of little detailing, lots of little bits and bobs to finish. So yeah, I guess I should get cracking, and I'll see ya in a moment for the build section. And so, ladies and gents, we are now back for the build section of today's episode, and you're going to see a new shop, you're going to see Komodo Dragon Outdoor, and yeah, we're going to take a quick walk around the zoo as well, and you're going to see all those little pieces of detail that have all been finished off. You are going to see a few little bits of open space, and I'm going to explain what I'm potentially going to do with those based on stuff that you've said to me. I just haven't done it yet because obviously I like to get your feedback. But yeah, I don't really know what to look at first, to be honest with you. Maybe the shop, maybe that would be a good idea. This is what I have done with this area, ladies and gents. I've basically put in this huge restaurant. It needs a name. It doesn't have a name. The other restaurant's actually been named, and I will talk about that shortly. It was a suggestion sent in, but yeah, so I've done it so it's raised up as well. Someone was talking about terrain levels and stuff, and it really got me thinking that we don't necessarily have to raise the terrain a massive level, you know, to get that sort of effect. We could just do something like this. And so the first time we've done it, it's not at ground level. It's raised up a little bit. And I really, really like this. I found a building with this design online, and I just tried to copy it the best I could, and then I just added a bit on the side, and yeah, I feel like it's really come out nice. So I've planted it all up out the front as well to make it look really, really pretty. Wanted it to really kind of like fit in with the environment. As you can see, you've got like an outdoors sort of like seated area. There is a plant pot inside that I've completely forgot to put a plant in, but I'll do that shortly. But yeah, you'll see like you've got this outdoor sort of like seated area, but I've put in disabled access as well because someone brought that up, that we should have more of that in the zoo. And then yeah, you simply just come up here. We've put in milkshake and hot dog over here. So basically we've got coffee and burger over the other one, milkshake and hot dog over here. So there's pretty much a bit of something for everybody. I nearly went with a gift shop, but really we were overrun in the other restaurant, and we'd brought that up in the 5.5 episode, and everyone said in that as well that we needed a new restaurant, so it's exactly what I've done. So yeah, I think this has turned out really, really nice. It's obviously massively detailed, as it always is where I'm concerned. And then I've left this wall free because I think when we get that map developed eventually, I think a map would fit quite nicely on that wall. And then yeah, this is the seating, and then there's also some indoor seating as well. Obviously fire extinguisher, we've put like a smoke alarm up the top, we've put this little doodah over here with all the condiments and stuff, couple of bins, the tables in here are a bit more dressy, some flowers, and I made these fans as well for the ceiling because I didn't have enough to do, but I decided to just do this for a bit of detail in here as well. And this is quite pretty, this restaurant, when you turn the lights out, which I'm gonna do for you right now, because I haven't shown you the zoo in the dark, have I, much? But yeah, it's quite pretty, isn't it? All these lights on the outside, and it's like really like tastefully lit inside as well. It's not too bright, and yeah, looks really nice. Quite a good little effort on my part, I guess. But yeah, I'm in love with it. I really, really like it. It's low key. It's not over the top. I think it fits in with the original zoo, and I kind of feel like this area here would be the end of the reptile centre. This is it. This is the reptile centre here, ladies and gents. This is the original facility in all its glory. It does not need anything else. So anything else that we build from this point out is all part of the new Jamii Conservation Park Zoo. It would be the huge expansion that's probably going to happen from here on out. Yeah, what else do we need to look at? Obviously, that's the new shop. I've basically set all the prices in the shop up $1 on all the items to match the one that we've already got. Hope you guys don't mind me doing that, but I wanted all the shops to be exactly the same where the pricing's concerned. And then, yeah, if we come round here, we've got an outdoor area for the Komodo Dragons. Now, I'm going to throw something out here to you guys because it's caused me pain, it's caused me anger, it's caused me anguish. This still isn't enough room for 2 Komodo Dragons. So what I've done for now, because I have a solution, it's whether or not you like it, but for now I've turned animal fighting off. Then we can have 2 Komodo Dragons in here. But believe it or not, this still isn't enough room, and this is the point I was making last episode about Frontier and their ridiculous space requirements for animals. This area out here is large. This is a big area out here. And then when you think you go inside, and they've got all this. I've reworked it in here, by the way. I've completely reworked this. I've removed all the rocks so that they have so much walking room. It's just so much room. It's just so excessive. We've got obviously the staff door here. But yeah, it's ridiculously excessive. It's just, it's annoyed me a little bit that there's still not enough room. Tell me what you think of the exhibit as well, because I tried to do it a little different. I tried to theme it ever slightly. I don't theme too heavily because not many zoos do that, especially in the UK. We're not really up on that sort of thing. We go with like a very sort of like bog standard way of doing things, and yeah, I just tried to theme it a little bit, and I think it turned out quite nice. Obviously, we've done a unique little board out here, and yeah, so use some bamboo, really, really cool. Basically, what I've done with the windows after doing a bit of research as well is they are shoulder height, so the kids can't jump over. Adults wouldn't really think about doing that anyway, but the reason why they're this height is that, for those that don't know, Komodo dragons actually have poisonous saliva, and they are a very extremely dangerous animal, and zoos obviously treat them that way and won't want the guests to be able to get in. So walls have to be of a certain height, the animals have to be behind there. This animal will not really feel like it's in an enclosure anyway, because I've rocked all of the outsides up, heavily planted it, and I've basically done all this planting as well to try and disguise the staff building behind. So do let me know what you think of that as well. Would you have done any more planting than that? I think it's quite tastefully done, but yeah, basically what I've done as well is I created a wall, and then we've rocked up in front of the wall so there's still a gap between the staff fence and the enclosure. So yeah, it's still sort of like trying to keep them with that realism. It wouldn't go right up to the fences and things like that. So yeah, that's all done. Done a bit of planting here as well. Tried to finish off this area. These covers have been made for the bins. They will do for now. this here is just a nightmare. It's so hard to cover, so I just thought I'd cover the bottoms of the bins, and this cover is on all of the bins, ladies and gents. Every single one of the bins, that's been done. I've added a little grate in here, a bit more detail. Added some lighting over here. I will show you what it looks like basically with all the lights off. So we've added all the lights around here, all around the edges. It's lit up really nice inside. I am going to say that I didn't get round to decorating the inside of this building, but I don't think I'm going to decorate this one the same way as the other building. Some reptile buildings don't necessarily not theme that heavy, and I know that some people said they quite like the idea of this being done the same way, but I think I might just go with like a very sort of like olive green wall and just do some planting like this. I might do a big sort of like plant bed in the middle, so it would almost look like you have to walk in a certain direction, and just kind of bring the green into here that way. I think that would be a nicer way of doing it basically, but it's all finished in here, all the lights, all the fire extinguishers, fire alarms, it's all done. We just need to sort the colour out basically on that building. We'll take the sunshine back. Now we need to cover all those little details that you guys wanted me to do. I've obviously started over here, put a little staff gate. We've got a little electric port here. Basically, this building, I've got to try and disguise it from the guest's view over here, haven't I? So I've started putting some vines on some trellis there. I'm actually thinking of just going with go away green wall on this one, but that's a decision for you to make. Would you rather this on here or a go away green wall? The trellis, I'm going to be honest, looked a bit weird. It stuck out like a sore thumb because there had to be so much of it. Then I've done a little backlot area for this new shop. Obviously there would be bins and some rubbish and stuff has all been put there. This tree, obviously they didn't want to yank it out. We've gone with a different foliage design over here, just kind of bushes and trees to really try and hide the building. We've now got these posts with like directions to where everything is. You will see that the names are not exactly the most interesting, but that's because a lot of this stuff has got to be named, so I've just kind of like put the bog standard stuff on here. But yeah, we'll get into that, my friends, and coming soon as well. Just teasing. Come around this way. This is all pretty much finished. On the corner here, I am gonna make a like candy floss stall, something like that, so it'd be like an implied, snack stall kind of thing. I'm gonna do it so it's like a stall. I didn't do it now because, to be honest with you, a little burnt out from all of the work that I've had to do, because believe it or not, I've done a lot more than it really looks, because I've had to do all those little details that really finish things off. Moving around this way, we've done some more plant pots along here, another one of those directional signs. And then we move into this area, and wow, they really are not respecting the old social distancing, are they? No, that's a lot of people in one area, ladies and gents. But yeah, anyway, on a serious note, we walk our way round into this area, and this restaurant is now known as the Croc Crunch Cafe. That's what someone wanted it to be called, so that's what it's affectionately known as. I'm probably going to make a sign to go above the door so that people know where the Croc Crunch Cafe is. But I like the Croc Crunch Cafe name as well, because obviously we've got the green on the wall in here, and it kind of matches up, but the inside's all done on that. We've got our exit sign over here, and then actually I'm going to take you in the building before I take you to the entrance. Now obviously all the bits and bobs in here have been done, all the lighting, all of the fire extinguishers, fire alarms, cameras, it's all been done now, it's all finished, so the inside of this building can be ignored. Basically we're at a stage now that we can basically as good as ignore the original part of the zoo, which is really, really interesting. We're getting to a point with this series where there's going to be a massive expansion very, very soon. Now, people wanted this room dealt with, and I've dealt with it all right. So someone was asking for a prehistoric design, and other people were saying I need to sort this room out. So basically what I've done is I've done a sort of like small museum type thing, like a very small display. This here is the skeleton of a giant snake, prehistoric snake, that used to sort of like roam the lands, way back in the day. I believe they were found in Columbus and stuff. I was doing a little bit of research. Someone actually put this on the workshop. This is not my, just the skeleton, all this bit at the bottom I had to make myself, but this skeleton, someone put it on the workshop, and I was really fascinated by it, so I started doing a bit of reading, and obviously there was these giant snakes and stuff back in the day, so I thought that would fit perfectly, because people could walk in, they could come over to these, it'd be like a little bit of information, and then there's this information board that I've made as well, and I've put that on the wall. And what's cool about this as well is that when we turn the lights down, this is a stunning room, a really, really stunning room. And like all these sorts of things, it's all like implied sort of like, stuff, the fossils and things like that have been found where this sort of stuff is concerned. And I just think this is like a nice little addition. It's like an educational room. It's something a bit different. And it's just kind of like an idea I had after someone had mentioned, maybe putting something prehistoric in the park, and it fits in with the whole reptile theme. So absolutely loving that. That took me a long time, that room. It might not look like it, but it really did. It was just a ridiculous amount of time that it took me. And then I've done this as well for Toby. I said I was going to do this. So this is Toby's story now on the wall. Everyone can come over here and have a little listen about Toby and how he made his way to be here and be the ambassador of this zoo. We come over here. I've placed a few cars in the car park. I was getting a bit bored of it, just kind of like looking empty, so placed a few cars in the car park. And then if we come over to the entrance, this is where quite a bit of work's been done as well, ladies and gents. You'll see there's a big welcome sign now at the front. I've done it in the 3 shades of green that are synonymous with the project, obviously matching up with the wall over there. And then I've changed the colour of this now to go stick with this sort of colour. A bit more neutral kind of thing. And then I've done these signs at the top. So basically, these are sort of like, your ticket prices. You could become a member. And then this is like travel information. I see a lot of zoos do this. I thought it'd be cool to have that on the top so that people know exactly what to pay and things like that. It's all these little details that really sort of make everything come alive. And then round here, we've got these ticket machines so that if you've bought your ticket online, you can literally come up, bang your card in, get your ticket, and away you go, ladies and gents. And I think that's pretty much it. I think I might have done a little bit of work to the inside of this building. I put like a little plant pot here, and I put this little notice board on there. So basically it tells you, what section to go to get to what room and that sort of stuff. I don't think I've done anything else around here. Obviously this is changed a little bit because of stuff. This door here, I found this really interesting, door mechanism thing, and this just adds a bit of realism. And so as a result, I've created all these power switches where they would be, and I've put them all near the rooms and stuff as well. Really, the detail is just a joke. Like there's so many details. Someone was asking about a water unit as well to control the flushing of the pools. So I added this in here, ladies and gents, and this controls that. You can flush all the pools using this, and there is actually a water thing behind it as well because I'm that much of a geek. Yes, but that's pretty much the build, ladies and gents, and that, I'm gonna be honest, is pretty much this part of the zoo finished. There's a couple of little jobs that need doing, but I'm pretty happy with where we're at, and I'm pretty happy with the suggestions I'm going to make very, very shortly. The only things I haven't done is obviously people want a new map. Haven't done that. It's going to take a long, long time. I haven't added any names to this wall because people think that certain buildings should be named after people as well, and I have a suggestion who this building should be named after, and I'm going to drop that when we get to the live section. Until I know that, I didn't want to complete the wall, but I do have a list of names that are going to go on all of the Conservation Club walls. And the other thing was a logo for the zoo. Haven't done that yet because I'm holding off because I've been useless at trying to create one. But that's the zoo. That's the build. That's what we've achieved. Now let's move on into the live section because we've got another laundry list of things to do. Okay, my friends, so we move on into the live section of today's episode, and we've got a lot of stuff to cover, basically. We're going to employ some new staff, new animals. We are going to do some animal management. We're going to open a shop. We've got lots of little bits and bobs we need to do. So we're going to start with the animal management, as we always do. It's always the best place to start because we usually have a massive influx of animals. There's lots here that we really need to reach maturity, but they don't do so until they're bloody ancient. So we've got to wait a long time. We've also put Toby on the contraceptive because there's 6 Galapagos tortoise now. It's all got a little bit out of hand, basically. We really need that space for the nursery, in my opinion, and the breeding centre, so that we can take some of these off-site and let them mature somewhere else. But it is what it is for now. But we are going to move the gear monsters off because we don't need all these guys. So let's move those off-site into the wild. 27 conservation points. You will see we're doing very, very well with the conservation points. And I think the only other one we have to do is the frogs at the moment. But let's move these froggy frogs off-site as well into the wild. There we go. We should always be left with 5. We are. So 12 conservation points for them. And we're also, ladies and gents, going to be moving one of the male Goliath frogs off as well, because in the 5.5 episode, someone mentioned that we should move one of these off and get a female and start a breeding program with them as well. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep the younger fella around and release the old guy to the wild. We get 1 conservation point for them. So next up, I guess we should do the animals first. So let's do the Goliath frog. And get that breeding done. So we've got a boy at the moment, so we need to get ourselves a girl. So what we got here, both of them are pretty good actually. We'll go with the younger option. It's slightly more expensive, but money is one of those things we really don't need to worry about at the moment. So let's go in here and the Goliath frog. So we've now got a male and a female, which is great to see. And then we need a female peacock, I believe, because someone wanted us to get a little friend for Mr. Peabody. Now, usually they would have like a harem of females, but we're just going to go with the 1 for now. Because it's very early stages where the zoo's concerned. So the fertility is pretty bad on both. Do you know what? Let's have a look at the Komodos while we're waiting on a new peafowl to come through. So female Komodo dragons. So we will go with this female, I think, just because obviously her longevity is not great, but at least her fertility is a bit better. So we do want these animals to breed. So let's put her in here. And why I think about it, someone wanted the male to be renamed. So let's rename him to Gorgira. I think it was Mr. McCulloch, John McCulloch, who wanted this done. Gorgira. I believe that is that a band? Is that a heavy metal band? I believe it is, isn't it? Now everyone's sitting there going, "What? You listen to heavy metal?" Yes, I like all sorts of music. I play drums as well as do all this weird YouTube stuff. So yeah, I like my music basically. It's very eclectic taste. I'm just going to throw that out there. So he's Gorgira. We will take a look at the animals once they're in the habitats, ladies and gents. I'm not trying to rush through this. I'm just trying to get lots of little bits done. Jesus Christ, I can't even talk today. So that's that done. And then it was the staff, wasn't it? So I have to add a zookeeper, a mechanic, and a security guard based on, your comments. So that's exactly what we are going to do. So let's get the security guard in. So that's the security guard. Let's get a new mechanic in. And that's that done. And then we're going to get the keeper. Now, the thing with the keeper is I'm actually going to set a work zone for this keeper because he's going to be the one that was mentioned that we should have who's dedicated to the Komodo dragons. So that's what I am going to do. So we're going to add a work zone to make this possible. So we'll make him available there and the staff room and the kitchen. That's all he should need access to. So that's our dedicated member of staff for the Komodo Dragons. Obviously, all the others will still look after them, but we've got a dedicated member. So that's our Mal Gorgira, looking very handsome. And this is our new female, ladies and gents, and her name is Deanne. So there you have it. She's looking pretty cool. Nice to have two of them in here. It's a shame that we've had to do it the way we have to make sure that we can get the two in here, but, you know, it's excessive amount of space, and the fact that they would still fight even with all this is ridiculous. But I did mention, and then didn't, you know, go on to explain, that my idea for them is that obviously this is the original reptile sort of area of the JCP, and what I was thinking is that, like, you could buy just a ticket to come here, or you could buy a dual ticket so you could go in both, or you could buy a ticket to just go in the other one. So if that was the case, we could have a Komodo Dragon sort of like exhibit in the other side of the zoo, so that people could still see them even if they hadn't paid money to come over here. We've actually got a facility broken down. Let's call a mechanic to that. But yeah, so they could still see them even if they didn't pay money to go into the reptile part, and then that would give these animals a bit more space. So yeah, that's just kind of like my thinking behind that. And then open the other ticket office was the other thing that was mentioned. People saying that they felt that this was very busy and that we needed to open this. Now, we do actually need to employ a vendor as a result, because when I originally did this, I sacked that vendor because it weren't open and we weren't using it. So yeah, we've had to employ another vendor, but yeah, that's that done. So that's lovely jubbly. All the animals are done, all the staff are done. I've done some renaming. If you want any of the animals to be named after you, or you want to give them a particular name, just shoot me the name with the animal that you want named, and I'll be sure to do it. Obviously, you can't name the two adult Galapagosaurs. They've already been given names. You can't add Bindi, saltwater. You can't name the female Gharials either. They've got names, and obviously the male Komodo now. But any of the others, feel free to shoot names, ladies and gents, and I will do my best to rename as many animals as possible. See this over here. Look at all these goons. Just standing outside. Apparently, they've all got X-ray vision. They can see through the door, and they can see the tortoises. Unbelievable. So many superheroes in the zoo. But what else do we need to do in today's episode? I don't think we need to do anything more, actually, ladies and gents. So quickly, I'll see if I can find the female peafowl, shall I? God only knows where she is, because it's so dense, the undergrowth here, that it's very hard to see them. Yeah. Not going to be able to do it this way, am I? I'm going to have to do it the other way. So, oh, I didn't get her, did I? What an idiot. We were fannying about, and I never got her, did I? So let's have a look. That's a terrible one, and that's a terrible one, and this is why we didn't get one. I've got lots to talk about, so this time could go past and we could find one, but yeah, we don't have one yet for reasons. You've already seen the Komodo. I'm just going to quickly show you the shop in action, ladies and gents. So yeah, it's looking pretty good, pretty busy, earning some money, which is nice to see, and it's taken a bit of stress as well and a bit of strain off of our original shop over here. It's still pretty busy, Still don't really care about the coronavirus outbreak in this zoo, but yeah, it's still busy, like I say, but it's definitely, like, you can see that the people are now dispersed around the facility a bit better, so that's good to see. Now, we need to talk about next episode, and we're going to be doing something very, very differently. Now, you will remember I said in today's episode that obviously, because we've reached £1 million, I was going to do a one-off special thing for this episode. This is only going to happen once, never going to happen again, so make the most of it. And when I explain it, please try to get your ideas, your suggestions, your feedback over to me in the best way possible, whether that be story, narrative, whatever you want, make sure you try and get it over to me the best way possible. Now, what I'm thinking, ladies and gents, is that the original part of JCP is as good as finished now. We are done. There's no more reptiles we can really add to the facility. The frogs will eventually get removed from this house and put somewhere else, because someone said that the amphibians shouldn't be over here, which I do agree with. So they will get moved eventually, and then the other two species of snake that we don't have yet will go into those plots. So I really don't anticipate we really need to make this any bigger or change it any further. So what I'm thinking is that we now need to start work on the second part of the facility, the bigger sort of like general zoo that's going to be open to the public. So we need to really start to put the building blocks in place. Now, I was taking a look at the level, I was taking a look at the squares that we've got available, and they're all pretty small squares, and they're all going to be a problem, basically, trying to use them to expand out further. So because we've reached 1 million, I always had this thing in my head that I thought that once we reach 1 million, I would put out a special offer, one time only, to you guys, for you to get your ideas across to me, and for us to see how far you could take your creative juices where the series was concerned. The fact you've created this to this point is absolutely phenomenal. I think you've done an amazing job. Your ideas have all been concise, they've all been to the point. I like the fact we're building a story and a narrative as well where the series is concerned, and it's been fantastic. But now I'm going to offer something special to you. What we're going to do next episode is you're not going to get the option to go forward 10 years. Instead, you're going to get the option to pick up to 3 squares from 7 available. And this is going to be mainly for the zoo to expand on a bigger, wider scale. We've obviously got a waiting list of animals that we have not been able to put in yet, because of space issues and because they were going to be in the more general, public section of the zoo, not just this very specialized, rescue center turned conservation, project park sort of area. So basically, instead of you voting to move forward 10 years, you're going to have to be really, really particular with your comment this time around. So what I'm going to do is offer you up 7 squares. We're going to have square 1, square 2, square 3, square 4, square 5, square 6, and square 7. You can pick up to 3. If you only want to pick 1, just pick 1. But if you want to pick up to 3, you can. You need to, with your comment, write, I pick squares, and say, for example, 1, 2, and 3, and then underneath that, write your comment of what you would love me to do with those squares. We have nearly £1 million in the bank, which means that we could do a very extensive project, a massive expansion to the zoo that we've already got. And I think that this is the ideal time to really start putting in, the bigger entrance. It's really time to start putting in, another species, another type of animal. I think it's really time for you guys to express your, get your creativity going and tell me exactly what you'd like to see, from the next episode, whether it be car parks, whether it be an entrance, whether it be a big exhibit. You let me know what it is, but the way you have to do it, I'm just going to repeat it for you, is you write, I pick squares, pick the numbers of the squares that you pick. So if it's 1, 2, and 3, that's great. If it's just 1 and 2, that's fine. If it's 6 and 5, that's fine. So on and so on, but only up to 3. And then underneath that, write, I would like you to build, so on and so on and so on. If you can, try to provide it to me as a narrative, a bit like Jay the Nater did all the way back in episode 1, because it adds to the story, because I'm actually writing the Jamii Conservation Park story that I will be narrating over the top of some cinematic episodes that are going to be special one-offs every now and then throughout the series. And with the main sort of area of the park done, our first one of those will be coming up very, very shortly. So that's what we're going to do. Instead of moving forward 10 years, you're just going to pick up to 3 squares, tell me what you'd like me to do with them, and the best one wins. It's not going to be a case of, I'm going to take loads of different ones from loads of different people. I think for this, as just a one-off, the best one wins. A bit like when Jay the Nater suggested this. I did it with just one comment, really, and then twinkled in a few others where I see fit. Well, that's what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to take one main comment and then sprinkle in a little bit of what everybody else says. But the best one wins. So make sure you come up with a really, really fantastic idea. Before we sign out, The only other thing I want to talk about is obviously the Conservation Club. I said numerous times in today's episode, because someone suggested that buildings be named after people, it's the reason why I haven't finished the wall. If everyone's okay with it, I'm going to take Generator's name off the wall, and we are going to call this the Generator Reptile Centre. He came up with the original idea, and I think that, I'm assuming it's a man, I should say as well. He came up with the idea, and I think that really the main building should be dedicated to Generator. And I'm gonna, make a little plaque, and we'll put it above the door, and this will be the Generator Reptile Centre. It does mean we have another one over here that deserves to be named after someone, and I'd be interested to hear in the comment section who you think it should be named after. I have a list of people that are going to go on the wall, do look out next episode for your name going on there. The only reason I haven't done it is because if we're going to start naming buildings after people, I just wanted to save the space on the wall for that. But we're done, my friends. It's been an interesting episode, and you've got a very interesting thing to do ready for next episode. But we're done and dusted. No, we're not done and dusted. Let's just have a quick look. If there's one available, I will do it now. If there's not, I will leave it. There's not one available. What I will do, ladies and gents, is I'll make sure that I get a female peacock before next episode. There's just really crap ones available at the moment. But make sure you vote on that poll from the beginning. Make sure you vote for the squares that you want, and then leave your comment what you'd like done with the squares. Remember, best one wins, but I will be sprinkling in a load of other little bits and bobs from what you suggest. Next episode is going to be a huge one. Obviously, we're not going to go forward 10 years, but we are going to be adding a massive expansion to JCP. But hit the subscribe button if you're new, drop a like if you've enjoyed it, hit the bell notification button to never miss an episode, and you'll find all of my socials, Discord, all that good stuff in the description box below. But until next time, my friends, make sure you stay an extra. I'll see you real soon.